Hey, all, this is filmmaker Ron K. Armstrong here with another broadcast for you. You know, I always bring you some interesting guests. And I know some of you have been wondering, like, hey, where have you been? You know, you haven't made a broadcast or done an interview with a filmmaker or actor in a while. Well, I have been working on Netflix's Stranger Things. We're actually wrapping up on Disney's Cars 3, so we did a promotion for that. Now we're going to start Stranger Things, and we had our first meeting today, which was so creative meeting. Was really awesome, and the stuff they're doing with the new season, you're going to love it. But right now, I want to talk about this lovely young lady. Her name is Jeanna Liu. She is an actress, writer, and filmmaker. Say hi, Jeanna.
Hi, everyone. And thanks for having me, Ron.
Oh, no worries. Now, she just did an extraordinary film, but it's actually a web series called Hunters. And I got a chance to check it out. And we're going to talk a bit about that, talk about her career and a lot of other things, you know, and her relationship with Obama, the whole deal. Just kidding, just kidding. And, she told me not to mention that, so you have to read the biography or the. Jeanna, tell us about this great web series, Hunters.
So, Hunters is a dramatic action web series with a twist of mystery. And it's basically about a woman who's in search of truth and justice for her deceased parents. And so episode 1 starts out with their unfortunate murder, and she's devastated. The main character, who I play, her name is Nadira, and she's just completely devastated. Her parents were her life, and she lived for them pretty much. And so there's something that she feels is kind of strange about their deaths. The police say it's a burglary, but she starts to investigate and do her research and looks at the police report and finds out that there are a lot of elements missing for there to be a burglary. So she goes to her brother, who happens to be a hunter. And basically hunters work for an elite organization, covert organization, who they basically track down individuals who've evaded the US justice system. So they go above and beyond what the police would do, the FBI, CIA, all that. And the government is completely unaware that they exist, if you can suspend your disbelief. So she goes to her brother and she, you know, raises concern because it's been weeks since they've died, and she's still pretty, there's something that's gnawing at her about their deaths. So she wants her brother's help. She wants him to use his resources as a hunter and find out, maybe, you know, find out extra details that the police wasn't able to find out. So he's just like, no, you need to let this go. You know, they died in a burglary. And the reason why he's so kind of flippant about it is because he didn't have a good relationship with his parents. He hasn't spoken to them for 7 years. And the reason for that is because they didn't approve of him being a hunter. So anyway, they
knew he was a hunter.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And so she decides, okay, you know what? You're not going to help me. I'm going to figure out how to become a hunter and look into this myself. So that's where the end of the episode leaves the viewers. And yeah, I'm excited to continue it. I really am, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you pick this subject matter? Is this something you're close to?
Actually, no. My parents are still living, thank God. And I don't have a brother. I actually have a sister.
Well, are you a hunter yourself? Are you a hunter inside?
No, I'm not. I'm not a hunter, and I'm not a bounty hunter of any sort. Being that as an actress, I've just gravitated towards action and drama, and I've always loved a good mystery and murder mystery. And so I just thought, you know, let me create something I've never seen before, something that I would love to play. And I wanted to focus on a brother-sister relationship, because you don't see that much when it comes to films with people of color, in my opinion, especially in the action genre. So I was kind of inspired. I'm a comic book reader from back in the day, and I was inspired by Bishop and Shard's relationship from the X-Men and I think X Factor. So I wanted to do something along those lines where it's like a brother-sister team, and I wanted to throw in the dynamic of them not really getting along. So, as with most siblings.
Well, you know what, her character. Tell us something about Nadira, because her character is very interesting.
So Nadira, she is a English school teacher. She's went to top schools, graduated with honors. She actually worked with the UN. She's just stellar all around, you know, great grades. Her parents were super proud of her. You know, she could do no wrong in their eyes. She's a scholar. And there's a sharp contrast between her and Jackson. Jackson wasn't a scholar, and he was basically a rebel, did everything that his parents didn't want him to do. So Nadira is basically the child favorite. And so she really has no life other than that, other than being a scholar and a teacher and good at what she does. She's not an active person at all. She's not a fighter. And so we see that in the first episode that Jackson's, you know, says to her, but you know, I'm the one who had to beat up your bullies for you, and now you're saying that you want to become a hunter? Like, it's ridiculous. So Nadira is like, she's completely the opposite of Jackson, completely the opposite of what you would think a hunter would be. But the fact that she loved her parents so much and she knows there's something wrong, that's what's driving her. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if you want to know like things that she likes, but she's not interested in dating. She's like all career woman. And yeah.
Well, you know, I found the character very interesting, which I want to touch on a little bit more, because now, you know, we have like Atomic Blonde out, you know, and, you know, these films are starting to come out that have strong female leads.
Yeah.
But what I want to touch on also is just the music, which I really loved in this first episode. Can you tell us, like, where'd you get the music from?
So it's, I believe it's free music. If you Google freemusic.org or FMA, I believe. They have loads of royalty-free music on there, and then also music where you can purchase a license to use. So the songs will list what the rights are, and so I chose. Obviously, I chose, because it's low budget indie film. I just chose royalty-free so that I wouldn't have to pay because I don't have a budget. But so free music, I think it's FMA, and then there's another one called, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Incompetech. I think it's INCOMPETEC.com. And there's an H at the end. But if you Google Incompetech FMA, I'm pretty sure it'll come up along with the free music. Yeah.
What I liked about it was it had a lot of music over it, you know what I mean? And you allowed the music to play, because I could see you were trying to create a mood, especially at the cemetery.
Yes.
So, and I really got into it and felt the emotion there. Was that a conscious choice of yours?
Yes, it was. And thank you so much for appreciating that and pointing it out, because I got some strange responses. A couple people said, "Oh, the music, I only hear music. I don't hear, for example, when the father wakes up, he hears a sound. I don't hear the sound, and I don't hear him moving." And then I had to tell them that was a conscious choice that I made. I wanted it to be music driven. And I've seen that play out in many TV shows and movies. So I thought it was strange that, you know, only a couple people pointed that out, that they thought something was off, that I was supposed to have those background sounds in. And I said, no, it was just supposed to be music. And I went ahead and, chose pieces that I felt represented the scenes. And also, I'm a lover of classical music. So, like, I was looking for pieces that reminded me of Bach, and just very heavy emotion. The cello, I love the cello. And so I was looking for things like that. But then I like all types of music. So like in the credits, I use, like a rock and roll piece. So, but yeah, I definitely made a conscious decision to choose music that I felt conveyed the emotion of the scene, definitely the mood of the scene.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed, I used to work for, well, I'm not going to go talk about the studio, but this guy was, he was president of this small studio,
Uh-huh.
and he kind of like mentored me. And what he was telling me, and he's absolutely right, is that when you are making a film as an independent filmmaker and you depart from the norm, even though it's an artistic choice, the audience will think you didn't do something right automatically. You know what I mean? I made a really slapstick film, which was called Bugged. It was a comedy. And we premiered in cons. Everybody was laughing, and they were like, "Were we supposed to laugh?" I'm like, "Yes, it was a comedy. Yes, we were supposed to laugh." So just to let you know, that typically, you know, I've heard kind of like that response before, especially when you're making those creative decisions that are not along the norm. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But how'd you get the money to make this? It seemed pretty high quality, good production value.
Oh my goodness, I guess I was lucky to have some people help me out on a deferment basis. My actors, all deferred actors, a lot of them are SAG actors, so this is a SAG signatory series.
Wow. Wait, explain what that means, just for our audience that doesn't know.
So basically my web series is union, and it's governed by the SAG-AFTRA rules. So that means I have to pay my actors. I can't just, even if it's SAG actors and non-union actors, I can't just pay the SAG actors. I have to pay everybody. Like, there are certain rules that you have to follow. I have to have insurance. I have to have location insurance. I have to have workman's comp. Like, it's the real deal. It's a lot of paperwork, and a lot of planning, and also a lot of money. So I chose to do deferment, and thankfully the actors, they agreed to that. And also the locations, a lot of the locations, I knew these owners through somebody, so they thankfully let me shoot without, you know, without a fee, thankfully. Like Nabe's the underground sort of club restaurant that you saw. And then there was McDonough's, which is a cafe that is not too far from where I live, in Bed-Stuy. So they were just so gracious to allow us to shoot there. And then a friend of mine let me use her apartment, and that's where you saw the bedroom, a lot of the bedroom scenes. So, and then the DP, he also agreed to deferred. So everything was all just about deferred. Wow. And yeah, so I was able to just pay for food, really, and just minor costs and insurance, basic insurance. But I still have other costs and fees to pay for episode 1 and going forward. So yeah, I guess I was lucky. Now that I'm actually saying this out loud, I was pretty lucky.
Working with SAG is pretty tough. I mean, there's a certain amount of hours you can't go over. They have to have their lunch breaks. And every time I've worked with them, the actors always report me. You know, one reported me because I wouldn't sleep with her. I'm like, what?
Oh no.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, it's kind of like big. I think it's good. I think every filmmaker starting out should try and do a SAG project, because it prepares you for the big time. It's kind of like, that's how you get your training wheels, because you really start to understand, like, you know, we have to break at this time so they can have their lunch. We can't work them too long. They got to have this.
Yeah.
So it's and then the contract itself with SAG is interesting. So
yeah, it's a lot of work. Oh.
Tell me, like, who are your inspirations as far as directors are concerned?
So I love Christopher Nolan. I love his movies. My favorite would be Inception. I just think that his movies are so thought-provoking, and sort of, it goes beyond our everyday type thinking. I love those movies that really make you think, and it's kind of like almost you're in a dream state sometimes. And I don't just mean that because Inception had to do with dreams and kicks, but even Interstellar. I like movies that go outside of the norm, like outside the box, to convey messages and to tell a story in a different way. And so I think he's definitely one of my faves. I would love to work with him. Also, then I like my action directors, like Zack Snyder. Um, I really like his work. 300, Sucker Punch.
Oh, you like Sucker Punch?
A lot of people don't like it, but I liked
When I say
it.
I like Sucker Punch, people get off this. Are you crazy?
I liked it, and he did Watchmen too, I believe, right?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I gotta check and make sure. I like Watchmen.
I think he did Watchmen as well, which I can watch over and over. People didn't like that either. Like I like his style, and I like that dark, and I like a darker type film, and I think that's you see that in Hunters.
You're a dark woman, huh? Are you like
Huh?
afraid of bats?
Nah, I'm afraid of spiders though.
Spiders.
So yeah, those are some of my inspirations
What
as
about,
a filmmaker and as an actor. I would love to work with.
what
Yeah.
about female directors? Is there any you think are?
Um, let's see. I do like D. Ray's. I like Pariah.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I thought that that film was, again, it was the subject matter, it was touched on in such a different way, and I liked the cinematography of it. Um, yeah, I would have to say her. I haven't seen any of, I know I'm ashamed to say this, Ava DuVernay. Yeah, I haven't seen any of her
That's
work
okay.
yet.
That's okay. Tell me, like, who, if you could like be one A-list actor, who would that be?
I would say Angela Bassett. I think she's
Really?
great. She's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like, and I mean, not just her acting, but she's held her own over the years. Like, she's in great shape, and she just seems so poised and together. I love that about her. She's like the full package in terms of actor, human being. Yeah, I would say Angela Bassett.
I know her actually, and
Oh, you do?
yeah, she's one of those type. Because a lot of the actors, people don't realize that they put on like this. They're a different person on screen. They're in person, and she's really down to earth and cool in person. She's not phony. In other words, is what I mean.
Yeah.
And I could name some that are phony, but I won't. But yeah, she's a professional. She's very professional.
Yeah.
That's good. Let me ask you like this. So it's interesting you said Christopher Nolan, right? Do you see Hunters being something like a dark type action, like a Dark Knight or something?
Uh, Not a Dark Knight, more like Minority Report mixed
Oh,
with
okay.
um Minority Report and Watchmen together, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I do want to introduce some sci-fi elements in the coming episodes, and this world is the Hunter's world is a little different than our normal world. So there's going to be a couple other things in there that don't exist in the present day. So I would definitely say, yeah, Minority Report and Watchmen, because these hunters are kind of heroes, but they're dark heroes. So
Mhm. I
yeah.
like your angles that you had. Were you particularly paying attention to how you framed your shots and everything?
So I did not have like a monitor to work off. So I just allowed the DP to do his thing. But I tried my best to just be, mind. He knew the angles that I wanted, and I looked over his shoulder a few times to make sure, like specific scenes, like for example, when Jackson was at the bar with the ladies and one of the ladies whispers in his ear, like I wanted a specific shot of her mouth and his ear. Like there were certain ones that I knew what I wanted, and I told him, and I made sure it was exactly the way I wanted. But for the most part, I gave him lots of leeway to do his thing because I'm familiar with his work. I've worked with him on his own movie, Diary of a Bad Man. So I trusted a lot.
Diary of Black Man, I'm sorry, you said?
Diary of a Bad Man.
Oh, Bad Man.
Yeah, it's an independent film that it's actually a Jamaican mobster film, and it won several awards in festivals over the last 2 years. So I was in that. I had a role in that. So I was familiar with his work and trusted his direction. So so I definitely chimed in, but I didn't feel like I had to, control every shot.
How
So
did you find like directing and acting? Like was that difficult?
oh yes, it was difficult. So I basically had a skeleton crew. So it was me, the DP, and my associate producer, and maybe one extra hand, and that was it. So there was no like AD to help out. So when I was in, for example, in the cemetery scene, and I'm in character, there were a couple times when I said, "Oh man, like I got to come out of character to direct some actors," because it wasn't like there were a couple lines that weren't being delivered the way I wanted or envisioned. So it was pretty tough. I had to like take one hat off, shut down, and then switch over. And it's not easy. It's not easy to come out of character and do that. So I definitely would like to have additional help, have an AD on set for moments like that where I am in an intense scene and I don't necessarily want to come out of the emotion to direct the actors.
Good,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Very difficult to do and make a quality movie. And
Yeah.
I admit I did it. I tried it with my first feature, and I think it suffered a bit because you can tell
Okay.
it's not an easy thing to juggle two tasks. One director that does that is like Mel Gibson. So he does,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And his films, some films are really good.
Yeah. Braveheart, right? He directed that.
Yeah, it's an awesome film. Like, that's one of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go with this? Are you looking to get this picked up to be a series on HBO, Showtime, something like that?
I mean, I would love that, but it's funny. I just recently did an interview for Black Girl Nerds that hasn't been published yet, but they asked me the same question, and honestly, when I came up with Hunters, I just wanted to create. That was my main goal because there's something, I mean, obviously acting there's something that I get from being an actor. It's it's a feeling that I can't even describe. Like when you act, you just get this, your creative juices are just flowing and it's fun. It's a challenge, it's everything. But when you're a filmmaker, or being a filmmaker on the other side, I it's just as fun as and exciting. Like I enjoy creating, I enjoy writing. And so I didn't really think, okay, so once I create this, then I'm going to pitch it to this network and this net. I just wanted to create and then just see how people would enjoy it. I just wanted to see what their reaction would be, see if I would be good at it. And so now that I've gotten a good response, and I mean, you can look at the comments on YouTube, like I just want to continue creating. And that's why I decided to run the Indiegogo campaign to raise funds for episode 2 versus waiting on, going through the pitching process. And I just wanted to keep creating and then also at least get to the action. Because I feel like episode 1 is just the tip of the iceberg. We don't even get into any stunts or anything. So I kind of wanted to do that before pitching, before the idea of even sending it out anywhere. But I mean, that can change. But again, I didn't have any goals for this. I know that sounds horrible, but I just really wanted to create it and just put it out there.
Have you written episode 2 yet, or is that...
Yeah, I actually have 5 episodes written, and there are going to be a total of 7 episodes.
How long is it going to be each one?
This one was 13 minutes. So I would say each one will probably be about 15 minutes after this, because this episode was kind of short, but they will get a little longer. I wouldn't say more than, definitely not 20 minutes. I kind of want to keep them short and sweet.
Now, are you going to do like any festivals or anything?
I am. That is definitely something I am looking into. I mean, the time period was a little off because I started looking into festival for web series in particular, and a lot of them, the submission deadline's already passed, but I'm definitely looking into submitting for the fall for next year. So
Mm,
yeah.
that's great. I mean, it's doing a web series is very time consuming, and I have to applaud you because you're an actress who took it upon herself to not just wait for somebody to knock at the door, but you
Yeah.
created your own opportunity.
Thank you.
I always preach this to a lot of actors because I don't know if it's like a virus or disease. They think that they're special. Someone's going to discover them in Starbucks. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. I said, no, that's not going to happen. You gotta, until that comes, create some opportunities for
Right.
you know?
Yeah, look at Vin Diesel. You know, that's a big
Exactly.
story with his little series. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Or Issa Rae even.
I was going to ask. That was my next question. I was going to say, what do you think about Issa Rae?
She's a huge inspiration, and I could have mentioned her before. I slipped my mind, but after watching Awkward Black Girl and then reading about her story, and then I watch Insecure now, she definitely was a huge inspiration to, like, I had written the series, but then wasn't sure how to go about finding the actors and wasn't sure if it was good. Like, there was a period where I was kind of doubting whether I should continue, and then when I found out about her, I was like, no, she did it. I could do the same thing, and who knows where it'll take me. So she was
Exactly.
definitely an inspiration. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you just? I know your forte is acting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider yourself a female director, a woman director?
I'm a little hesitant to take on the title, only because I don't have the experience yet. I just have this one episode under my belt.
Was this your first film?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you had been directing for a while. Wow.
No, this was the first one. I mean, I did the mannequin challenge last year. I did that, and then I directed my friends and I doing the challenge. So I was like, you know what? I really I can do this, and that's what I guess made me confident enough to do, just the skeleton crew that I had, just me, the DP.
Wait. Hold up. Let's back up. You telling me you had no experience and you did this?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, how did you know to do all? Like what? Like, wait a minute. We're missing a whole chunk of the body. Like, how did you know to do the SAG thing and get the DP? What, did you read a book? Did you go to a class? Or
I just, and being an actor, I just found out, I learned about the process. I guess I learned about the filmmaking process as an actor, observing, being on set, listening, overhearing production people talk, or even just doing research online, reading different articles. And when I realized I was gonna make the web series a SAG signatory series, it was really because I found out I had the people that I was interested in, they were all SAG. So I said, oh, now I gotta figure that out. So then I just went onto the website and did my research there and found out that I had to pay them and all these rules and everything. So that's what happened.
wow, because I know a lot of actors, they don't even know where to start if they were to produce their own thing,
I mean, the internet is a wealth of information.
People don't research.
Yeah, they don't. I guess
you're part of a special group.
Thank you.
But that is awesome that you were able to. I mean, most people start out who haven't done a film before start out as a non-union production, but you went right to union, which is really cool. And, wow! And you got permits and everything, and
Yeah. Yep. Everything was on the up and up. Yeah. It was. I'm telling you, it was a lot of work. I think halfway through it, I was like, what have I got myself into?
I'm going to tell you, next episode, if you're going to have some action and all that, you're going to need some help. Get you good AD and
yep.
Yeah.
And stunt coordinator, all that.
Because we're going to be looking forward to the next episode. You know how, there's things that we want to continue. And one of the things I thought was interesting is, Tell us about what is it like working with an older gentleman in the film.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
He was so funny. Oh, Marion Green. He was really a sweetheart. And for example, there's a, I wish I still had this scene. I think we deleted it. The scene where he hears the noise and he's getting up and he's putting the robe on. So the first time, the first take when he put the robe on, he couldn't find the arm. So
Oh,
he couldn't find one of the arms. So just kept trying. He wasn't quitting. He just kept going, and we didn't say cut. And he was just such a trooper. And eventually the DP yelled cut. And then he was just a breath of fresh air to have on set. You know, he took everything, he gave everything like a charm and just humor. And yeah, he was great working with. I definitely work with Marion again. But what were you thinking when you asked that question?
no, the reason why I say it, because I've worked with older actors, and they're very professional. You know, a lot of
Okay, yes.
they work very serious. So I was wondering, how was he? You know, like, did you have a good experience and all that? So
Yeah, no, I had a good experience and very professional. Um, and also very willing to not he wasn't I don't know if other older actors may get tired, but he was willing to put in all the energy, you know, if we had to do it a couple of times, he was cool about it. So I think he worked just as hard as anybody else, you know?
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been my experience too. Where are you looking to go from here? Are you looking to like get your acting career started or your directing career started?
I would love to get my acting career started if Hunters uh, you know, blew up tomorrow and people saw me and then it generated roles on television or film. That would be awesome.
Mhm.
Um, and not to say that I would just never make another film, but acting is it's that's primary for me. And then once I feel like once you're a successful actor, you can always make films, independent films on the side. So yeah, that's the order of importance, I would say.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. But you will do like, you know, most actors have a production company and they
Yeah.
work on side projects and they get their own projects going. And that's the smart way to go about it and all that.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of actors I know in credits. Yeah, they're the executive producer of the shows that they star in. So yeah,
What do you think of Jada Pinkett?
uh, I think she's cool. I'm actually gonna see Girl Trip. Wait, am I saying that right? Girls Trip, Girls Trip this Saturday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her. And she's kick ass. I mean, she did The Matrix. She's in Gotham, and she's not slowing down.
The reason why I asked that because I just want to get your take on the whole Oscars so white thing. You know, like what do you think about the Academy? Like, you think it recognizes enough African Americans? You think enough women? You know, like what's your thoughts?
I definitely think that, you know, in previous years, it's definitely been pretty white. But I think that since we've gotten the new president and you know people have been voicing their opinion about how undiverse these nominations and awards have been, I think we're starting to see some change. Um, One thing I will say though, and I know a lot of people notice this, is a lot of times it seems like people of color only win awards for the same roles, the same 3 or 4 roles, you know, thug or maid or a slave. I mean, there's so much more. Like we can portray so many different characters. And that's why that's one of the driving forces behind Hunters, to show the world that women of color have a place in the action genre. Black women have a place in the action genre. You don't see enough of us kicking butt. I know you have new shows like Rebel and stuff like that. And back in the day, you had Jackie Brown, but it's few and far between still to this day. the action genre is still dominated by men and by white men. So I think that the Academy can definitely broaden its scope a little bit to recognize actors that do more than just those select roles, you know?
Well, you know what they say, the reason why they don't have black women in action films or black women as leads in film, period, is because they say the foreign market is not welcoming to African American films. You know, it's hard to sell a film overseas that has an all black cast or a black lead. You know, what do you think about that?
I'm not sure. I haven't done the research myself to look at the numbers, but I don't believe that, because they were saying that here, that domestically, uh, movies with black leads wouldn't do well. And look at Girls Trip as a comedy; they had a huge opening. And now we're gearing up for Black Panther, and there's so much embracement with Black Panther. I think that they're completely wrong. I think it's more about just, unfortunately, maintaining our status on a certain level. I think it's more about that than the actual truth, which is that movies wouldn't do. I can't even think of a movie where there have been some pretty big names and black stars and then it flopped. I can't think of any. I can think of the ones that flopped, that, like, Gods of Egypt, but I can't think of any with black female star or as a main character, or a black male and then fly. Can you?
No, I can't.
Yeah. So I think we continue to prove these notions wrong, but unfortunately the change is still slow coming. So.
Well, what do you think about this? Because I often talk about this to filmmakers because it kind of annoys me. This is just my own take, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. Is that we see things that are doing well at the box office, and we think we're making progress. However, when you have Ava, when you have, who else out there? When you have, let's just say F. Gary Gray, John Singleton, when they get the money to make a film, it's always a cap on the budget. It doesn't exceed like 20 million or something like that. Like most of Tyler Perry's films aren't made for that much money. You know what I mean? Okay. And to me, that's a form of racism, because here you have, white directors, young guys, white males out of film school, and you're giving them $100 million film to direct. Yeah. So I'm like, wow.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting. I never really looked at the budgets like that and noticed the trend. So that's interesting that you mentioned that. I mean, I think that probably is a sort of covert racism, hoping that nobody notices, because I didn't even realize this.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
When you unless they're directing a franchise like Fast and Furious, their budgets are very low. You know what I mean? Huh. And they always talk about how profitable they are, which is true. A lot of black films are profitable.
Yeah.
But they're not made for that much money in the first place, so it's hard to not be profitable.
Good point. Good point.
They keep them within a certain range. So. Yeah. But I definitely would like to see Gods of Egypt or something like that with an entirely black cast, and I think it could definitely work. And then maybe Black Panther will prove something to Hollywood.
I think it will. I really think it will. I mean, I think already it's just we have 7 months to go, 8 months to go or something, and people are ready for it now. And I feel like everybody I know, it's not just black people. I feel like a lot of people are excited about it. So
how do you feel about how African-American women are portrayed in the media? Like, you see these whole reality shows, Housewives of Atlanta and things like that.
I hate it. I don't watch any of the Housewives shows. I don't watch Love and Hip Hop. Sorry. I don't watch. There are a lot of things that I don't watch that just perpetuate stereotypes. I love Taraji, but I don't watch Power. And I can't. It's, I don't know. I maybe I'm a weirdo. I don't know. Maybe, people can say I'm not supporting the black TV shows, but I watch other TV shows like Scandal. Well, I used to, or I'm watching Insecure. Like I feel like we need something different. My thirst for creativity is to gravitate to something that we haven't seen. You know, haven't we seen enough um, of the usual of the housewives of the fighting, the cat fighting on Love and Hip Hop? Haven't we seen enough of that? You know?
That's why I wanted to really, when I saw Hunters, I was like, I got to do an interview with her because it seemed like a breath of fresh air. Were you intentionally trying to do something that didn't fall along the same stereotypical lines?
Yeah, pretty much. I just in acting in the action genre, I even at the independent level, there are not a lot of Black women doing it. It's crazy. Like I'm doing non-union independent action films and web series. Sometimes, you know, a lot of times not getting paid, and there are like virtually no Black women. I can count. They're women, but they're Black women, not hardly any. And so but that doesn't. They're still out there. It's just that, especially in New York, I feel like in the market, not a lot of Black women are here in the New York market doing action films. I think maybe mostly they might be in California. Um, but yes, I definitely wanted to mix things up, to diversify it, and that's why I wanted to have myself as the lead, because even the films that I've done in the past, a lot of them I was not the lead. I was just a minor character.
Mhm.
Um, and there might have been another minority lead, but not necessarily a Black lead. So yes, I definitely wanted to start some trends, some new trends in the independent action genre. And this is also mystery too, mystery. And yeah, I definitely want to shake things up. So
That's interesting because your world is different than my world, and I'll tell you why. When you like, give me a typical like day, like when you wake up and you're looking in the trays, the publications for roles. Do you see a lot of African American auditions, or do you?
I honestly no. I mean, I kind of stopped looking, to be honest, on the popular websites, because there was hardly any African American roles, or if there were African American roles, they're looking for African American males. I've
Mm,
seen that so many times, and I'm like, wow, I totally want to be this soldier, but they only want men.
mm.
Um, so yeah, and that's another reason why we as women of color need to create their own work, because I feel like if there are roles, it's not for Black women, at least, you know,
That's
especially action. I'm speaking mainly to action roles.
mm.
Yeah.
Does that ever discourage you, or you just makes you more like it does make it tough you up, or
It's discouraging some days. Some days, yeah. And but then eventually you have to just shrug it off and just focus focus on what's going right. And I feel like, yeah, it does make me try, but I definitely have felt it. I definitely felt that kept me at a standstill. Like maybe today I'm not an actor because there's nothing out there.
yeah,
But thankfully I don't stay in that state too long. I eventually bounce back and just get back in there. And a lot of the auditions or films that I end up um, partaking in now, it hasn't come through any website. It's somebody knows somebody, or somebody saw me somewhere and they reached out to me on Facebook.
oh,
So yeah,
good.
so that's encouraging. I feel like maybe we can't just use the same avenues to get acting jobs anymore. It's more about who you know and putting out good work, because then that work begets work.
Would you ever think of moving to LA?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but my family's here on the East Coast, and maybe one day I could probably also be bi-coastal, but I don't know if I'd live there. Live there. So
Because there's a lot more work out there in film, at least.
yeah.
So, but I want to thank you for taking the time. Tell me what's next for you.
What's next? So we're running this crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo. I believe we have 10 days left. So after that, then determine where I'm gonna take episode 2, or maybe figure out some other fundraising ideas, because it takes a lot to film each episode, and plus now that I want to introduce stunts and some other elements, and we need, you know, uniforms and things like that, it's going to be more costly. So I after this Indiegogo campaign, I'm going to you know, come up with some plans for some other ideas, and hopefully we can shoot episode 2 this fall. Other than that, I am also in another web series called Body Jumpers Resurrection. So I'm the lead superhero in that.
Oh,
um, and I'm in another web series that we're gearing up to shoot this weekend, and it's called Annika. And I'm also a hero in that. So yeah, it's kind
big
of...
fish. There you go.
Yeah, so I'm busy. Even when I'm not working on Hunters, I have other things going on, which is a blessing.
That's
So
really good. You're very talented and courageous, and I think that's
thank
the
you.
best way to do it. Who was I talking to? I think it was Robert Rodriguez, and he said, I wasn't talking to him personally. I read his book, A Rebel Without a Cause. I told him you couldn't do it, so he did it.
Yeah, I when people tell me I can't do something, it also lights a fire in me. Like, I'm like, what? I can't do it? I can't bartend? I'm gonna bartend, you know?
That is great. So,
Yeah.
one last advice for actress trying to start out. What should she do?
So if there are any aspiring actors out there, I would say the first thing is to really think about this industry. I mean, I would say do your research, read as much as you can, and find out what it's... if you don't know any actors, find out what it's like. Because you definitely have to develop a thick skin. I didn't have a thick skin in the beginning, so rejection, it was hard. But after a while, you know, like I said, you just... it comes with the territory. You're gonna get a lot of no's, but then eventually you'll get a yes. So you have to be able to deal with that. Like, there's some mental preparation you have to do before you get into this, I think.
Good point.
And so once you've mentally prepared, I would then go to different schools and try to do student work. For example, if you're in New York, you could go to the School of Visual Arts, which I've done in the past, and they actually pay actors to act out scenes. I think it's $8 an hour, last I checked. And you can do that, get experience, and get a little pocket change. So if you want to test out the waters, I would say start there. And then once you... at least that will give you some experience, and then you can apply to other things and then say, hey, you know, I'm an actor at SVA. I did this and this and this. So I would say start that way. And then after getting some experience, you can take classes. Because one of the mistakes I did when I was starting out was I took like a bunch of classes with different casting directors without really developing skills first, and that's a big no-no. So definitely develop the skills, the mental mindset, and then start networking, you know, taking classes and meeting people. Because I think the tendency for actors is to just spend a lot of money to get in front of the person they think can get them a job, when really they need to create a foundation of skills and experience first.
Oh yeah.
So
Discover and make money, and
yeah.
that's it. So, but again, yes, thank you. We're gonna be looking forward. Now, where can we? You said you have the Kickstarter, is it?
Oh, Indiegogo. So if you go onto Indiegogo, it's Hunters the series. That's the easiest way to find it, because the link is it's very, you know, it's a lot of letters and symbols. So if you just go to Indiegogo and look up Hunters the series, you can find our campaign. There's 10 days left. And I think right now we're 16% funded. So, but who knows? Maybe a miracle will happen in the last few days, and then we'll reach our goal. But if not, I have other fundraising ideas. And then also Hunters the series, you can use... that's our website as well. That's our handle for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So yeah. And then if you wanted to follow anything on me, it's just Jeanna Lou. You know, JeannaLou.com, Jeanna Lou on Twitter, Jeanna Lou on Instagram. So yeah, kept it consistent, so it's easy.
You're very plugged in. I noticed that.
You have to be these days.
Yeah, that's good. You're very. I mean, you're like seriously. You're off to a better start than I was. I didn't know what anything was when I started out, and I went to film school. You know? It shows you like how much they taught me. You know, it would have helped if I wasn't looking at the girls and paying attention in class. You know. But thank you so much. We're going to be looking forward to more of your work. I want to see episode 2, and you said it'll be out this fall, hopefully. Or are you going to shoot this fall?
I'm hoping to shoot in the fall. I'm gonna do my best to, even if we have to space it out over a couple weekends and, you know, raise money other ways. Yeah, I definitely want to shoot episode 2 at least, because that's gonna show how Nadira becomes a hunter, and I think that's important.
Oh,
I think that because
awesome.
yeah, that's gonna change the whole tone of the series, which I like when I watch film and the story goes a totally different way than it started. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see this coming, or just it just it's interesting when the story can kind of take a left turn and it still be good.
Yeah.
Versus take a left turn and it's bad. So
I hate predictability. I'm just like, oh, I've seen this before.
Exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
So awesomeness. So we're gonna look forward to episode 2, more of your work, and I'm gonna put for everybody watching the links in the description box so you can go to her site and everything and help contribute to her campaign to raise funds for episode 2.
Thank you.
So, Jeanna, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And if you guys out there, if you love this video, you love this interview, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And until the next broadcast, this is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire, and that's all for now.